Hello, I am Disha Karya from MA Semester 4, Department of English, Bhaktakavi Narsingh Mehta University, Junagadh. This is my presentation of paper number C118, Literary Theory, and my topic of presentation is Modernism and Terry Eagleton. Terry Eagleton is a contemporary British literary theorist and critic. He was born in 1943. His famous works are Literary Theory, an Introduction, which was published in 1983. Second one is The Ideology of the Aesthetic, 1990. The Illusion of Postmodernism, which was published in 1996. His essay on Capitalism, Modernism and Postmodernism was first published in the New Left Review in 1983, in which his post-Marxist analysis of literature is exposed. He accounts for capitalism influence on art and its role. The capitalist and late capitalist areas have seen two new forms of literature appear, modernism and postmodernism. Here we are supposed to discuss the one concept from these three: capitalism, modernism and postmodernism. Here I would like to discuss the concept of modernism. The modernism. First the question arises in our mind that what is modernism? So the modernism is an artistic and cultural movement that flourished in the first decades of the 20th century. We can say the effect of World War. It is the movement in visual arts, music, literature and drama which rejected the old standards of art and literature. So they were not ready to accept any kind of rule to create any kind of work of art. It was developed in Europe and especially in Great Britain, but it was all around the world. So the characteristic of modernism, the first and foremost characteristic of modern era is the technological and scientific advancement became more advanced during modern era. So there were scientific invention in the modern era which affected all kinds of fields in the world, especially in Europe. The second characteristic is all traditions were vanished during the modern era. A modern man was not ready to accept or follow any kind of tradition of ancestors or old generations. The third characteristic is people became ready to adopt the new culture and start avoiding the actual culture. People are not ready to follow the culture that they already have, but they were ready to accept the new culture. For example, in India in modern age, people are really mad behind the Western culture. They are ready to adopt the Indian culture. Another characteristics are modernism emerged as an international movement. Yes, as I have already mentioned, that it was at a large scale in Europe, but it was there in entire the world. So individualism emerged on a wide platform. One of the most important characteristics of modern man is individualism, self-centric ideology, to think about the self-development. And the last characteristic is all traditions were vanished and people start thinking about the future orientation by killing the deep roots of past. If we look at the themes in modern literature or in modern era, the major themes are: first is doubt and query, first time raised in the field of literature during modern era. Earlier writers, authors were ready to accept each and everything. They were not questioning anything, but now the questions arise in their mind. So the doubt and query. The second thing is personal issues and psychological conditions of the society used to reflect in modern literature. Yes, modern literature focuses on the personal issues, not the social issues. We can see that Chaucer in Old Age discussed the entire society of that time, various types of characters like wife of Bath and that clerk's tale and all these things, and they are related to society. But the modern author would love to discuss the personal issues and somehow subjective elements we can find. Another theme is unbelievable imaginations flourish during modern era. Yes, the best example is Harry Potter. Earlier there was a children's literature, no doubt. There were fantasies, but it is something like extraordinary imagination of poet or novelist. That is J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. First time in the history of mankind, human beings started questioning the existence of God. This is the most important and most recurring theme in modern literature, to question the existence of God directly or indirectly. We can find it through the individualism, identity crisis, loneliness, and alienation. These are the major themes. First time, Kshatriya has declared that maybe there is nothing like God. Kshatriya and Jain Paul Kshatriya and his contemporaries, they have started questioning the existence of God. Existence of God. There comes the emergence of existentialism. Modernism in literature. How we can find the reflection of modernism in literature? Earlier there were not a single writer who would like to create such complexity intentionally or indirectly, but we can find the use of paradoxical language, paradox in modern literature in huge numbers. And the another thing we can find is absurdity. Not only the absurdity in any work of art, but there is one particular literature that is absurd literature. And how can we forget Waiting for Godot if we talk about the absurdity? Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, and that Lord of Sisyphus, myth of Sisyphus. And then comes the existentialism. First time man has started thinking about his own existence on this earth. Try to think about his own identity. Try to think that is there any God? These all are the major effects of World War, which we can find in modern literature. T.S. Eliot, like great poet like T.S. Eliot, has to compose the poetry like the Westland. This is the highly extreme level of effects of World War. Another thing is psychological analysis in the text to describe the outer beauty or outer characteristic of any character, his or her relationship with society, but try to analyze the inner mind of the character. And then comes the, for that point of view comes the stream of consciousness, interior monologues. And many a times writer also uses soliloquies and dramatic monologues as well. War literature, as we have discussed, that effects of war we can find in modern literature directly or indirectly. In any work of art we can find the effect of war. And there comes the war literature, entire the war literature, which discusses not only the war on the battlefield, but the effects of war in the inner minds of the characters as well. As we can see Catch 22 by Joseph Heller, there is no war running there, but war is running there in each and every character's mind. So the war literature. And one more important thing in modernism in literature is intertextuality. We can find the reference of one text into the other, and that other that has the reference to the other text. So to understand one text, one has to go to the another text and try to analyze that text, and then one can come to know the meaning of the real text. And the best example of intertextuality is T.S. Eliot's The Westland. So this is something about the modernism in literature. absurdity, as we have discussed. They are waiting for Godot. Two men are waiting for not knowing for whom they are waiting. So nothingness, uselessness, meaningless. The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, which shows the entire entire modern age, entire modern generation as degeneration, alienation. Two types of alienation. So two types of alienation we can see here in first image: alienation from the society and alienation at the workplace. This somehow indicates Marxism. Yes, we have seen that Terry Eagleton is discussing about the capitalism and its effect on modernism as well as postmodern literature. So this is some of the effects of capitalism on the modern literature, and this is indicating the Marxism. Works cited. Thank you.